At InDigital, we know that public safety professionals hold themselves to a high standard. In fact, standard doesn't do it justice. In over 25 years working alongside you, carrying millions of calls over our IP networks, your dedication has inspired us. That's why our ESI Net goes beyond industry standards, not only i3 compliant, but designed to adapt to future development for a network you can count on when it matters most. Learn more at indigital.net.
If Within the Trenches has ever taught you something, open your eyes to what it is like to be a 911 dispatcher, or has inspired you to become one, then help support us and join our Patreon. Get exclusive bonus content, one-of-a-kind swag, discounts on merchandise, ad-free early access to new episodes, and much more. To join, please visit patreon.com/WTT podcast. And if you're an industry partner, we have something for you as well. And now, for the show.
This is Jordan, and you're listening to the Code 7 Podcast Network.
Warning. This episode contains the 3 A's of podcasting: adult content, adult language, and awesomeness. You've been warned.
Welcome to Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them.
Hey, what's going on? This is Ricardo with the Code 7 Podcast Network, and this is going to be episode 567 of Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them. This episode is sponsored by InDigital, a leader in next-gen core services, and a big shout-out to all the subscribers of the podcast, but especially all of you who watch, listen, support, and share. Thank you so very much. The episode from last week was an Imagine listening session that I did out in North Carolina. Very powerful episode. And now we go to the lighter side of dispatch, the funny shit that happens in 911. And it's always, I always say this, it's hard to explain what it's like in an Imagine listening session. And after all of the emotion and everything, when we get to the end, I always ask, so who's ready to laugh? And everyone will throw their arms up like, yes, let's laugh. Let's get to it. So what we do is, like, when I created this peer support session, I didn't want it to be emotionally intense the entire time. So it's just like the first 30 minutes. And then the last 30 minutes is open mic. That's where we share the funny stuff, because I'm a firm believer that laughter is good medicine. And I'm sure a lot of you believe the same thing. So without further ado, here is episode 567, which is an open mic session that was part of Imagine Listening back in April 2024. And this is episode 567.
Dispatch.
There is no one over here to cook our lunch. We are waiting for our lunch, and there's no one here to cook our lunch.
All right, calm down. Where are you at?
The group home. Now, what are you going to do?
We'll get some help over there for you, okay?
Welcome to Open Mic, where we visit the lighter side of dispatch, because laughing is good medicine. Hey, what's going on? This is Ricardo of the Code 7 Podcast Network, and we are live out here in North Carolina for Open Mic, and we've got a live audience. Let's hear it. Woo! We just finished off an emotionally intense Imagine listening episode, but it was good. We were able to come together. We're here in support of each other, and we're sharing some of those harder stories. But now we are here for Open Mic because laughing is good medicine, and we're going to share the lighter side of dispatch, the funny shit that happens. And it takes one story for all of them to go downhill. So with that said, who has a funny story they would like? Oh, there we go, right away. Okay, we'll start here, and then we'll go over here. And again, your dispatch voice, so everybody can hear it.
So I had been dispatching for about 1.5 years at this point at my first agency. And it's probably about 2 o'clock in the morning. Lady calls in and she says she's being held hostage. She said that she is tied up in her bathroom. I get everybody and their brother going. They're all going lights and sirens. She's describing them to me. She says there's about 5 or 6 people, and they're all surrounding her, and she just doesn't feel safe. She's feeling threatened for her life. Law enforcement gets there. They break down the door, clear the scene, because she was being held hostage by porcelain dolls.
Oh, dude.
Porcelain dolls.
Porcelain dolls are freaky, man.
They are creepy. Yes, but she was so vivid.
Right.
No, she was just a resident crazy that I hadn't talked to yet. Unfortunately, it was very real for her, but for everybody else, it was just like, what are you doing? Somebody take the phone away.
So thank you for sharing that story. Here's something, though, that I've said to people when they're talking about stuff like this. It's like, what if there's a possibility, like Toy Story, what if they are actually, right? We don't know, but what if that is actually going on and we're like, oh, we never know. But porcelain dolls are creepy. Thank you for sharing that. I'll get my steps in today. There you go, sir.
I'm working night shift one night and I asked her phone's off the county 911, what's the address of your emergency? She gives me her address. I ask her to repeat it because we have to get a second verification. She repeats her address. I said, your ass is verified. Oh. She's probably in her 80s. She says, well, honey, thank you. I hadn't been told that in a long time. Needless to say, we had a good conversation for the rest of the call. She called him, but her husband had slid off the bed. We got him back up, but that was one of my prouder moments of verifying her ass.
Very nice. Thank you so much. I might have to make a T-shirt that says that. Your ass is verified. All right, we'll do. Yeah, I'll be in touch. We'll do this. Who else has a story they would like to share? All right, here we go. Just gonna set this here.
This is actually 2 quick short stories. Now, the first one is, again, it seems like everything happens at night. I was working by myself, and about 2 o'clock in the morning, I dispatched my fire department to a call. The guy that's responding, he's apparently still half asleep, so wanting me to verify the address and the location of it. And I just asked him, I said, are you familiar with the location of your fire department? He said, yeah. I said, it runs right beside of it. So that was the first one. The second one didn't happen to me, but I was told the story from a friend of mine in Virginia, that he was responding to a call and they were trying to give the best direction that they could. One of the directions that they gave is if you go north on 755 and take a right at the tree where old man such and such hung himself several years ago, that's the road that you're going to go down. So he comes back and says, "See-com, unless he's still hanging there, I'm not going to be sure what road you're talking about."
Oh, snap. Thank you. There's those moments where you're like, all right, so where do we go from there? All right, here we go. We'll go here, and I'll come back over to you.
So I just switched from one night shift to another one, and we got a call again about 3 o'clock in the morning. Lady saying there was someone in her kitchen that wasn't supposed to be there. All right, did someone break in? No. Okay, well, what's going on? She's like, well, my ex lives in Virginia, and he sent his man spirit down here to my kitchen to harass me. Okay. So we get a deputy going out there. We're sitting there just talking with her. She's rambling about everything he has said and done, and she was getting graphic with it sometimes. But so the deputy gets out there. We get off the phone. He ends up clearing, saying, "Well, we advise her there's nothing we can do about it, but we did ask her to contact an exorcist."
That's going above and beyond, literally beyond, with the exorcist. That's awesome. Thank you. Oh, that was good. All right, let's see over here.
Thanks, sir. So we have a resident crazy, I guess everybody calls it, that calls us regularly. Her crazy, though, is because of drugs. not because that she was born that way. So she called in that afternoon and said that someone had broken into her house the night before. And I was like, okay, tell me exactly what happened, gave me the address, knew her name very easily. And I said, okay, can you tell me what was taken? And she said, yes, they took the tampon out while I was asleep. And I was like, okay, is there anything else that was taken? And she said, no, that's the only thing. They took my tampon out while I was sleeping. And I'm like, okay. So we get officers out there and everything, and they investigate, because apparently that is where she hides her drugs. And that's how she does drugs, is she puts them in her tampon and inserts them, and that's how they get into her system now. So, yeah, that was very interesting.
Looks of concern for you.
Yes, I know.
You know, so I love the Imagine Listening session. I love the first 30 minutes because we all get to get some of the harder calls out right, or the saves. But then especially when it gets to open mic, and the funny part is as well, I just want to say this really quick before we go to a few more stories, and then I'm going to wrap it up before we go to lunch with a story of my own. And if you've never heard, I'm not going to give a preview yet. But I was in Texas, and I was doing this session, and there was something that they did there that I had never done before, and I haven't had the chance to do it again, but I thought it was really cool. So what they ended up doing was they had a couple folks who they had emotional support animals, okay? And they wanted them to come in to the Imagine Listening session. So I said, yeah, that would be awesome. No one really did anything with the dogs, right? But when it got to the funny part, now these were two, I'll just say very elderly ladies, and I wasn't sure how they were going to take some of the funny stuff. Dude, they loved every single story. The first one was a hardcore funny one, but also raunchy, and I looked over at the both of them, and they were laughing so hard, and all I could think was, thank the Lord they're laughing, because I thought they were going to walk out. So here's a final story for you. As we wrap up this part and you go to lunch. But again, we're not starting the second part until 1, because I want you to have enough time to eat and also talk with each other. And then we'll start back at 1 p.m. for the last 4-hour blocks of this course. So here's the last story. This happened to me in 911, and I'm glad the two of you are in here to hear this as well. Not that you're in trouble, but here we go. So, when I was in dispatch, Central Dispatch, we had we did 3 12s and a 4-hour. For whatever reason, the 4-hour was on a Wednesday. So I'm going in from 1 a.m. to 5 a.m. for this shift. But I want to stop and get something to eat and drink so that I can stay awake, okay? So I stop at the gas station. I'm walking around. I get a 12-ounce sugar-free Red Bull. And then I find what I think is going to be awesome to eat. And it's a gas station burrito. Yes, and it was called the Red Bomb. You can Google it. It's called the Red Bomb. So I get this burrito, I get this energy drink, I go to dispatch, I get there with plenty of time so that I can heat up the burrito. I think I'm going to be on backup phones. No, I'm on main phones, but it's fine. I'm ready for the shift. I'm ready to be done, or ready to be there rather. I sit down, I destroy that burrito, and I chug the Red Bull. I get a phone call, and it's the agency just south of us. They're chasing someone, so they want me to be on the lookout. Well, as I'm talking to them, my stomach starts talking to me. I start twitching a little bit, and I'm like, you've got to be kidding me right now. I'm dealing with an emergency, but also my own emergency now. This cannot be happening. I start sweating. I'm the only one on the other side on phones. If anybody was there, they would be able to smell like beef because I'm sweating out what is going on, okay? And I'm taking this emergency call. And I send a message to my partners on the other side, and I tell them, if I have to get up, you need to take this call, okay? And it just starts talking more. I'm like, oh God, no, I can't take it anymore. Put them on hold. Stand up, and I tell my buddies, I got to go run down the hall because I don't know how the dispatch center is here, but in my dispatch center, we had a bathroom right inside the dispatch center, right? And I wasn't about to drop heat there with my peeps. No. And we've got a bathroom down the hallway. So I run down the bathroom to the hallway, down the hallway to the bathroom, running so fast you can probably see smoke. Hopefully smoke, nothing else, right? I go do my thing and I come back and I'm like, I'll take the phone back. So I get back on the phone, talking to them again, and it happens again. Sequels, they're the worst, right? Well, in the poop world, it's the same. My stomach starts, and I don't know if you've ever tried to hold in a fart, but it goes back, it goes up, like it turns into a back fart, right? Hits your ribs, is like a xylophone. Yeah, that's what's going on with me right now. I put them on hold, and I stand up, and right when I stand up, my buddy stands up at the same time, and he goes, "You got to poop, dude?" And I was like, "Why? It's not a warrant. You don't got to confirm it." But yes, I do. Take off, go do my thing. When I come back, they're off the phone. No one's on the phone anymore. I'm like, oh, it's over. Sit down, take a phone call. It's the same people. I'm like, what the heck? I'm like, take this person out. Not, just like stop sticks. Take the person out because I'm going through my own stuff right now, literally. And this trilogy of poo, this third time now, my stomach is talking to me. I put them on hold and I stand up and I look at my partners and I'm like, I'm gonna go, I can't make it down. I'm gonna go right here. And they're like, what? And I was like, no, not right here where I'm at. No. I'm gonna use this bathroom. So I go into the bathroom. I turn on the fans. I turn on the water. Anything to mask the hell I'm about to go into. Because if you've ever seen Dumb and Dumber, oh yeah, I was screaming in there. I come out of the bathroom and my partners are just laughing at me so hard. And I was a supervisor and I said to him, you know what, I'm gonna turn up the heat so that you can smell this too. I didn't. So here's the wrap up of it. Years later, I'm out of dispatch, I'm with my family traveling to Washington State. I stop in Montana at a gas station. I'm walking through the gas station and I get this weird twitch and I was like, what the heck was that? Oddly familiar. I turn and look in the cooler. This cooler has Red Bomb burritos and is next to a display of Red Bull, and all I could think was, screw you, Montana. All right. Welcome back, everyone. I'm sorry. A lot of times when I'm in that room, whichever room it might be, and we're doing open mic, there are sometimes some stories that don't make the cut because I feel that some of those stories are meant for us in that moment in time and not for anybody else. But the majority of the stories do go out there, and it's just some of them are just, what? So I hope you enjoyed open mic. Again, that was with some 911 professionals out in North Carolina, and they are all amazing. And I had so much fun with all of them out there. So thank you guys, all of you, for everything. But if you ever have any questions or anything, and you ever want to be a guest on the show, again, whether you are new to dispatch, seasoned, or you are retired, I would love to share your story. I've been doing this for over a decade. This is my passion. This started years and years ago, over a decade ago, and I've been sharing stories and letting people know how important you are, your story is, but especially the amount of power that you have in your voice. It's all about that storytelling. So thank you, all of you, for again, for what you do, and especially for the funny, the funny stories as well. There's a lot of times that people say the Imagine listening portion needs to be like 2 hours, or the entire session needs to be like 2 hours. I'm like, I don't know. It's sometimes it's pretty tough, but I get it as well, because sometimes, people, they want to share more of those harder stories or even some of those powerful saves. And sometimes we run out of time and people are writing instead, but they wanted to say it out loud. So I do get it. I understand. And, maybe it'll change over time. But either way, it has just been the experience of a lifetime, as always, to do all of this and to do this with you. So thank you so much for what you do. As it comes to the podcast itself, wanting to be on the podcast, as I was saying, wttpodcast@gmail.com. You can shoot me an email. You can support us. But to do all of this very easily, simply go to linkswith2eyes.co /WTT podcast. Once again, that is linkswith2eyes.co /WTT podcast. And you'll find everything there. My email, all of my social media, where to follow, where to hear the latest episode. Also, where you can access over 250 free hours of continuing education through my Crowdcast channel that has all types of different virtual conferences from the pandemic all the way up to now. And it's crazy to think back and how everything was during that time, and everything was virtual. But also all of the Dare to Be Great sessions and everything are on there as well. So make sure to check that out. Again, that's linkswith2eyes.co /WTT podcast. You can also find the link to order volume 2 of Imagine Listening. Your Worst Days Are Every Day, and coming soon, hopefully, as long as I can keep everything on track, that first week of December, or second week rather, I'll have volume 1 of Imagine Listening out, and that is my version that'll be going out, and I cannot wait for all of you to see it. So make sure to stay tuned for all of that. Also, you can find podcast and dispatch merch on that link as well. So thank you. This broadcast has been sponsored by InDigital, a leader Next Gen Core Services. Shout outs again, as always, to subscribers of the podcast. And you can see this on Facebook, YouTube, X, and LinkedIn Live. And then you can listen 24/7 on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, your favorite podcasting app, and within the trenches.net. Have a good one, everyone. And we will see you all in the next one.